So we are in Stockholm and Patrick has already started to pump up the kayaks. We will see how this goes.
If you're going to test a kayak for the first time, a day like this is hard to beat. So my friend Don Erik arrived from Sandviken, where he lives, to Stockholm, Sweden on this summer day back in 2023, and he was interested in the Itiwit X500 kayak, something that I use a lot. So he came over to test it, simply, and it was an eventful day.
Oh, we will see how this goes. We have wind, we have boat traffic. We will see. This is Patrick. Thank you for inviting me to Stockholm and paddle kayak in this wind and boat waves.
Very welcome. It's strange to see you in a kayak for once. You're usually on a stand-up paddleboard.
So Don Erik kayaks all the time now, but back then he was almost always on a stand-up paddleboard. So this was a good test, a good opportunity to borrow my Itiwit X500 inflatable kayak, which he wanted to try out and do so for the first time. And I at the same time took out my Kokopelli Moki Lite kayak, also an inflatable, a bit slower, more stable, and something I had used a lot, but it was a windy day and a little bit of chop here and there, so a good test. And actually we weren't really expecting how much of a test this would be for both kayaks. Just look at what happens here. So this is on Riddarfjärden in Stockholm, which can be a bit choppy, but I had never seen this happen before.
Nu får du hålla i paddeln.
Alright, so what happens here is basically that there is actually a special security situation on this day, because the King and Queen of Sweden are actually arriving not too far after this in order to be part of a boat procession to Stockholm City Hall. And that police boat that you saw there, well, we weren't really prepared for that, and at least I was distracted a bit by seeing what on earth was it responding to. You can actually see the waves there almost covering the top of City Hall. Something that I had certainly never seen before.
Ja, att du alltid ska vara beredd på oförutsägbara saker.
I'm saying
för det där kom från, det har jag aldrig sett. Och,
always a good thing to be prepared for or expect the unexpected when you're out on the water. And yeah, this is a place I've paddled a million times, and I'm used to that. It can be a bit choppy if there's wind, and there can be ferries and boats and such. I've never seen a police boat there, and definitely not up close like that.
Patrick, said it again. Was it the biggest wave you have seen on Riddarholmen?
on Riddarfjärden?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think quite possibly, because of course we had that police boat right there accelerating right in front of us, and some huge swell basically wake from the boat hit us right on at close distance. So I was just thinking, this place Riddarfjärden is pretty much always the same, a bit of waves, but usually the same stuff that I've never seen before. So congratulations on experiencing that on your first paddle in Stockholm.
I'm just proud that I didn't turn around with a flip with a kayak.
Oh yeah, you did well. But I was actually concerned because you were in front of me that you would come flying towards me with your kayak, which your back of your kayak actually landed on my kayak. So I was kind of holding your kayak to balance, yeah, so this is the first time you're in this kind of kayak, and that's a good way to start. If you survive that, I think the rest is gonna be easy.
Yeah, so remember, Don Erik was there for the first time trying out this kayak, and he actually managed to somehow write it up. This is, by the way, the Royal Sloop on the left there.
So later today, the King and Queen are actually going to be riding in that royal little boat over there to City Hall in Stockholm, because you have the 100th year jubilee of City Hall here in Stockholm, the building itself, and that's actually the royal skip or whatever you might call it, and that's going to be bringing His and Her Majesty the King and Queen of Sweden to City Hall later today. So that is actually quite something. Ja. Ja, du får nog inte åka innanför de röda.
So by now, this has already been a good kayak test for sure. A bit unexpected. You noticed that actually his kayak hit mine there, and I had to hold on to it for his stability as well.
Hey guys.
But
Oh.
we're still in for some wind and chop later in the trip. And actually, well, you can see that this is set up a bit for festivities here. This is Stockholm City Hall, a key landmark in Stockholm and for paddlers.
Ja, nej.
And on top of the tower there, you can see it particularly decorated. So since there's a little bit of time still until the royal procession will arrive, we continue through the canal here for some paddling and then turn back. By now there's a police boat, blocking the traffic here. And these guys in the kayak were actually just in a rental kayak trying to get back to their rental place. But of course they had to wait for the King and Queen.
Är det okej att hänga här omkring ungefär? Är det okej att hänga omkring här ungefär? Ja, nej, alltså exakt här. Ja, exakt.
Yeah, so the police here were very kind and very helpful. We of course have to wait until the royal couple, His and Her Majesty, the King and Queen of Sweden, cross the waters here to City Hall.
Now the King and Queen is rowing. Of course they are not rowing, they're just relaxing in the boat, and it's a lot of police around here. They protect the area, so we just sit there and watch that little boat with the King and the Queen. Oh.
You can see the police boat here stopping a motorboat that approached from the other side. So this area is obviously sealed off now to boat traffic. And actually, at this point right here, where you can see it's a bit hard with the camera to zoom in that far, but over there now the royal couple is arriving. And our kayaks were actually the closest vessels on the water to the royal couple, except for the procession boats and the police boats there. So now, continuing on with our paddle through Stockholm. This is actually Don Erik's first paddle like this in Stockholm, and it's a great way to test the Itiwit X500. If you've mastered that wave early on, those 12 waves from the police boat, then everything else is kind of easy. Of course, it wasn't perfect. We were both distracted. Don Erik was filming with his phone, and I kind of indicated verbally that, you know, time to grab your paddle and time to look out. But I was also distracted looking right towards City Hall to see what was happening, because that police boat was responding with blue lights. Well, that was Karlberg Castle that we just passed, and here we are entering a green area, which is quite nice in the Karlberg small canal here. And by now, of course, Dan Erik is completely comfortable paddling the Itiwit X500.
Jag tänkte just att det är väl de enda som har anledning liksom att röra sig här på det viset.
Look who's back. Well, friend, police boat. Third time today, and it isn't the last time we'll see one, or maybe this one today either.
Way to us, and instead of this time the police was waving to us instead of trying to flip our kayak around.
Alright, so this is where it becomes more of a test, because it's been protected here in the canal and around the island of Kungsholmen. As we get out on more open waters, it is a little bit choppy today. It's a summer day, so it's warm, but it's windy and it's a bit choppy out here. So for me, the test of the Kokopelli Moki Lite kayak is equally interesting. I have paddled this before at this point many times, but it's always nice to paddle it in chop and also to paddle it next to an Itiwit X500, which Dan Erik is paddling. So
Det är nu jag är glad för att ha båtbyxor, vet du.
of course my kayak is wider and pontoon style, not as efficient, so it's slower. And Dan Erik would be able to paddle faster than I could, of course, in the Itiwit X500. But it's interesting to see how it handles still. I mean, I'm still able to keep up at the reasonable speed, being an experienced paddler in these kinds of kayaks. And you can see actually the handling of the waves here. The problem with this kayak is that even if there's a little bit of a wave guard there in front, a splash guard, I'm still being really heavily splashed by the waves when they come head on. So I'm appreciating my waterproof pants there, even if it's a summer day. Dan Erik, of course, at this point is quite comfortable even in the chop. So this was a great exercise and test, but you need some rest after a stretch like that, right?
Come on, Patrick. Time to paddle.
Do I really have to?
Yeah, end of the break.
Come on.
Yeah, unfortunately Dan Erik wouldn't let me rest. It was really comfortable, but you know, apparently we had to paddle on, so onwards we go. And you know, the weather was, even with the wind at times, this was a really great day. It was a really fun test of both kayaks, and of course for Dan Erik paddling this kayak for the first time, this was an eye-opener, because he was considering purchasing this kayak actually. And you know, here I am. One thing to know is apparently I tend to try to color match my paddling locations with my kayak. So, you know, here's the perfect color set for the Kokopelli Moki Lite if you want to paddle in Stockholm. Well, in all cases, actually, there was another paddler that we met here.
GoPro,
on the
stop
water.
recording.
Two paddlers, but Ulf here on the left is actually someone I've paddled a couple of longer sea kayaking expeditions. And here he's yelling, we're talking about the police boat, and he's yelling, here they are, you know, come get them. Well, I continue on to develop a what you call an active paddle stance. And what I was getting to there is basically that we had another paddler coming to see the X500 as well on the dock before we started from Gröndal. And she was, you know, she had quite a bit of kayaking experience, but she had never been in the Itiwit X500, and she was comfortable in it from the very first beginning. Look who's back again.
Yes.
So I would say the X500 in this case, Dan Erik, you know, was rusty on his kayaking experience, but he obviously had a lot of balance and a huge amount of experience paddling stand-up paddleboards.
No.
He had no problem with the Itiwit X500 and ended up actually purchasing this. For someone who has maybe less paddle experience, then the Itiwit X500 might take a bit of practice. I would encourage you to check out other videos on this channel to get a better sense of how it works. And there are many X500 test and pedal videos here on the channel.
Patrik, thank you for this day. It was really awesome. What a paddle.
Indeed, lots of events, lots of unique things actually.
Yeah.
And yeah, we managed not to get killed by a police boat. And we saw the king and queen.
Yeah.
And we met some nice people on the water, some that we actually met earlier today. And well, we had a great day, so it was great that you came here to Stockholm and experienced this great work with your paddling in the Itiwit X500. That was actually quite something.
Thank you.
Good work.
Thank you. What a day. Patrik and I been out for over 5 hours, and I had a chance to paddle in a lot of situations and see a lot of things.
Okay, Dan Erik, first of all, congratulations on great work paddling today in the Itiwit X500 for the first time.
Thank you.
And you're usually on a stand-up paddleboard.
Yeah, I haven't been paddling kayak for many years, so this was almost like first time.
Yeah, and you did a great job. You actually were put in some difficult situations. Significant waves and wake from a police boat and everything.
Yeah.
So I wanted to check this is the first time you've paddled the Itiwit X500. So I wanted to just hear your impressions. You've spent 5 hours or something in this one now.
Yeah, I saw, before I met you, I have been looking at this kayak and, you know, some reviews and things, and they said this is not for beginners. Maybe I'm not a beginner, but I think it was really stable to paddle in. So I was a little concerned, but after a while it's a very it's a lot better than I thought.
And you actually seem to manage those waves quite nicely, because there were a lot of waves. There was a bit of wind today.
Yeah, a lot of boat waves, yeah, it was.
Nice.
I think it was really easy to paddle it.
Nice, but it should be said that you have kayaked before.
Yeah, I have had a kayak, but I didn't use it so much.
Yeah, and you're also a very experienced stand-up paddleboarder, so you're used to be out on the water and handling chop and
yeah,
like
I know how to face boat waves and things like that. So
yeah, so yeah, anything else you want to add about this kayak?
I think it was faster than I expected for like this long. It's not a long kayak, but it was faster than I expected.
Yeah, well, we managed to paddle quite a significant stretch here, and you did a great job. So thanks for joining us in Stockholm, and congratulations. Until the next time. Remember to leave a like and subscribe. It helps others find the channel, and I appreciate it. All right, hope you enjoyed the video.